disagree, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Come talk some Eagles with us. We got a ball game.
Oh my God!
I'm embarrassed!
He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time. Welcome in, everybody. This is Agreed to Disagree, only on A2D Radio. Every Sunday, we're brought to you by our doc, Make 'em Yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, locations in Cherry Hill and Burlington, New Jersey. He's our doc, Make 'em Yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Brian Wilson was with us again this week, no longer with us. Nick Delgazzo, Greg Moakovic, I'm Tom Arnone, the family out there. We got 37-30 Eagles lead here on Sunday Night Football. 8 minutes to go. 1st and 10 on their own 33. So can they go on another drive? Can they go on a drive? Welcome in, everybody. Got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we'll give you our in-game reactions here to finish up this game in a few. Jalen just took a hit. I don't like to see that at all. We'll give you that. Crumb of the week at the end of the show. We'll circle the NFL. We'll give our players of the game for this game. All right, give out our game balls. We also are going to talk a little bit. We'll also give our post game to Eagles Packers, and like I said, we'll circle the NFL. We got a lot to go over. Eagles Packers Sunday Night Football live reactions is our main topic at hand. Ties into our poll question brought to you by FanUp, and FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. Daily NFL contests and more, win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D. You get $50 right at sign up. FanUp. You can download them right on the Apple Store. Go do it. Go check them out. It's Go Interactive. Now, right into our poll question, which FanUp is brought to you by. The Jalen Hurts-led Philadelphia Eagles will beat the Packers on Sunday Night Football. We threw a little layup line here. You know, we felt like for a minute. And then, of course, the Eagles want to make it close, right? Want to make it close. So maybe it's up for debate. I obviously agree. I think everybody was going to agree before we came in here. I agreed before the game that they would defeat them. So here we are, 37-30. Like I said, under 8 minutes to go. Eagles in need of a big drive because you can't let Jordan Love come back and tie a game up. All right? So, you know, that's what we need to work on. So, boys, tell me, agree or disagree to the poll, everybody out there.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree to the poll as well. You know, I thought today's game has asked for a different type of game from Jalen. And it's a game that, you know, we probably don't necessarily want to see so often because we like to see our quarterbacks healthy. But it's a game we definitely know that he can do. And it's what makes him special at times. So I absolutely agree to the poll.
Oh yeah, with a 7-point lead and driving, yeah, I'll agree. Yeah, it was like I said, it was just answering the poll. But yeah, I mean, anything can happen in the NFL. But they're in midfield, and I think they'll be okay. Yeah, they pulled the plug on A-Rod, and Jordan Love on cue came in and threw a dart for 70 yards and make it a one-score game. So still covering the 6.5. Could use a nice, could use a touchdown here to get a little breathing room here.
Yeah, could really use a touchdown, right? And dire need to just make sure we hold on to this cover.
Well, yeah, I wasn't worried about the Packers coming in. You know what I mean? At home. Sometimes a wounded team and a desperate team could get you. You know what I mean? If they were, if the Eagles were, played well the last 2 weeks and were still undefeated, you might expect a letdown maybe. Never at home, but it wouldn't have surprised me. You know what I mean? Like I said, the NFL, we see crazier things. So nothing, nothing.
And then, of course, how the game starts, right? We jump out 14-0, and then we give it right back. And it was crazy how it started, and and then you start hearing how all week A-Rod was talking about 2016 when they came in here, wounded and beat us at home on national TV, and you started those start creeping back into your head, but but credit to the offense. They were able to shut it down. Credit to the defense. They were able to force some turnovers and make some stops, which has obviously brought us to this point here.
Oh yeah, absolutely, brother. I mean, timely interception. You get arguably your best defensive player injured early on.
Tough. Yeah.
That's a tough loss. Gardner's been awesome for them, and hopefully he's okay. Just he laid the wood there, and then he kind of stood there, and it looked like he was posing. And then I don't know what happened. It was one of the craziest things.
It almost felt like it was like the Tua thing where he's kind of knocked out, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like sternum or something. I don't know what it was. It was just a weird looking thing. And then you get an undrafted guy that comes in and gets a monster pick in the game.
Because they were driving, that was points.
Yeah, absolutely, like you said. So when you can get turnovers, doesn't matter how much you give up or how many yards you give up. It's when you take away the football. Is always the way I look at it. I mean, obviously I want my defense playing at a high level at all times, but I understand, things will happen, and if you can take away the football, in the red zone, I mean, you're going to, chances are you're a good football team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm scared to even talk, so.
No, you're good now.
So fourth and what we got coming up here? 4th and 3.
4th and 3.
Leave his offense on the field. How long of a field goal is this?
I'm not even streaming. You guys are a full play ahead of me.
Yeah, he's listen, I love going for it, but you could make Jordan Love beat you here if you cough and corner it. I mean, I don't know. I'm a big confidence guy in my offense. I get it, but this is 4th and 3, man. It's not easy. I don't think they're going to snap this. Yeah,
then snap it.
Right on cue, Sweeps. I mean, I think everybody would have been egging Sirianni's house. I mean, this is a must, attempt at a coffin corner, and you try to make the young kid drive the field again.
Yeah, you can't.
You don't want to give him a short field. You know what I mean?
No, especially not how easy the last drive was, right? Too for him, right? Comes in, whatever. They're down 2 scores, and they get an easy long touchdown.
Yeah.
So that sort of gives him some confidence. You don't want to give that. Pin him back. Good punt right here. Hopefully our special teams decides to wake up at some point because they have not been good at all. So.
And speaking of that, I noticed that Boston Scott has been on the kickoff return. He's been today. He's been doing the kickoffs. And the few punts that
we got a field goal attempt here, Tom.
Oh my goodness gracious!
We got a field goal attempt here.
54. 54 should be almost automatic for a guy getting paid this much money.
I guess we're behind because Jake Friel just said big kick. So
no, it's a big kick.
It is. I was just saying,
big kick.
Jake Friel ruined it. Thanks, Jake.
Watch, boys. You're right, Jake. You're right. And listen, Mark, the defense. Sorry, guys, for technical issues. We're going to have a whole brand new streaming system brought to you here in the coming days because I've had about enough of this. But Mark says the defense is keeping Green Bay in the game. Yeah, they weren't good tonight. All right, and they're going to have those nights. They weren't good enough. There's always going to be something week to week to clean up, right? Like even after wins, there's always going to be, not at you, Mark, in general, like there's always going to be something out there that we're going to have to fix. But at the end of the day, we're talking about, again, everybody was concerned about the offense for the last 3 weeks, right? We put up 37 points, okay? We had 27, or I think we had 27 and a half. Okay, we had 27 and a half. All right, so we score all game. Offense couldn't even be better. And I don't care how they score points, okay? They scored a ton on Sunday Night Football. All right, so I don't care. So everybody was out on this offense and concerned, and boom, they come smack you in the face, and then it's like, well, our defense isn't good enough. Well, guess what? We're about to be 10-1, guys. You know what I mean? We're about to be 10-1. Outside of a miracle happening here with 2 minutes to go, we're about to be 10-1. So come on, there's going to be a little bit of issues every week, but you're still getting out with wins, and you're still doing it in every different way. That's all I got to say to people. Every different way. You want to play a close game and a dogfight, we'll beat you that way. You want to get into a scoring fest with us? Like everybody talks about the Chiefs and the Bills, they can all score points, right? I get it. So can we. In case everybody missed that too. I'm not telling you we can get in a shootout with somebody all day, but we can score. And we can score in a hurry too. And we can score on methodical drives, right? So we've We found a way to win in every different goddamn way. So I don't want to hear nothing of, not Mark. This is in general, because I see a lot of Facebook negativity with the quarterback, everything else that goes into it. This guy's been nothing but a star. All right, so everybody needs to wake up out there and leave your agendas aside, because this is special, what he's been able to do. I don't care. Again, I don't care about it. Oh, he's run the ball too much. He's got 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. All right, he's been good enough from the pocket tonight, made some big throws, and his legs, if you want to give it to him, run all day. The only thing I would tell Jalen to do is some of these big hits you could avoid. Right? So start avoiding some of the bigger hits. I could do without you being smoked on plays. But besides that, I mean, everybody be happy. We're about to be a 10-1 football team. We're loaded. And again, we can beat you any way you want to play. For any team out there, any type of fight you want to get into, we got a great jab and a great right hook. So we're here to play. We're here to stay. If there was questions about the Philadelphia Eagles being real or not, those questions have been answered now. When you get to 10-1, it's not like, oh, they're going to fall off the cliff. This is a damn good football team. Mm-hmm. And the best in the NFC, and arguably the best in football. Arguably. And I think they are, because this is just another example. I need to see the offense click a little bit again and score a bunch of points. Tonight's a good start to that, right? And this is without arguably one of your biggest weapons in Dallas Goedert. So that's important. That's important. And we run the ball. I mean, what do we run for, 300 yards tonight? I mean, I know some of it's from our quarterback, but come on, boys. Like, whatever. We win games.
That's going to happen. Like you said, Tommy, it's every different way, right? We haven't seen a game like this from Jalen in a long time because, part of it is we had been struggling offensively, right? But we also, he's trying to play quarterback. But you're going to have these games where they're going to let him run. And that's what makes him so special and so dynamic, is he is able to break off 20, 30, 40-yard runs and still command the offense. Like you said, it doesn't matter how the points get up there. The points are there, right? And you have to be able to win these types of games when, the wide receivers aren't as open right early on, right? Or they're going to give you those lanes. So go ahead and take it, because now the receivers are a little bit more open, right? Because now the spy's there, the stuff, now they got to worry about Jalen running, and you're going to have to win these types of games. And it's nice to see it, because we haven't seen it in a while, right? We haven't seen a dominant rushing performance from Jalen in a couple weeks and maybe even all year, but it's good to see it, right? It's good to see it because it's there.
And a dominant rushing performance in general, right?
Like, in general, right, absolutely.
You tell me Miles goes for 7.3 yards a carry, you're like, we're feeling good about tonight. Now, this is a bad rush defense, I get it, but at the end of the day, you still got to run the football. And if you want to give him the run early and not spy him, guess what? I expect my quarterback who can run to take it, right? And I agree with what Chris Collinsworth said. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but I agree with him tonight. Like, the league is changing, man. If you don't have a guy who can at least move around, you're in trouble, because you better have the best front in the world. You better have the best offensive line in the history if you can't protect with guys' speed nowadays, right? If you can't protect with guys' speed, you're in trouble. And if teams want to be undisciplined, then it's his job to take it. So I don't care. 158 rushing yards, I'm not going to put my nose up to that. I love that, right? Because I don't care how you get down the field. I just could do without some of the big hits. But even throwing the football, he has 153 yards throwing the football, 28 attempts. All right, it's only 5.5 yards a completion, but he has 2 TDs, no picks, and a 96 passer rating. So, I mean, pretty good night. But if you count both count. Both count. I'm tired of one not counting. I am sick and tired of one not counting. You understand? I'm sick and tired of one not counting. When did it become a thing that one doesn't count? I mean, they talk about it on the broadcast like, this is a city where you've had guys who can run around for years. When have we as a city not counted it? I'll wait for people. When did we not count it with Cunningham? Because we counted him running. When did we not count it with 5? We counted 5 running. When did we not count it with Vic? We counted Vic running. When did we not count it with Carson over his little time? We counted him running.
Yep.
So miss me with one don't count. What counts even more than all of them is not turning the football over and goddamn wins.
Yeah.
That's the real talk.
That's what it should be. I mean, come on. That's what it should be. Listen, if you're not happy with this guy, then you got issues, man. Then you got problems in your regular life, man, because you're just a miserable person. Because I got news for you. I already told you guys that tonight. And you can say, well, this roster is loaded, all right? But he's the reason you're 10-1, right? So, you might say, I said earlier that they're 4-5 without Jalen Hurts. Okay, and you might say, "Well, that's crazy. You don't know that. That's fine. You have the green glasses. That's fine. You know what I mean?" But he's the reason you're 10-1. I got news for you. So you can believe all you want about everything else. You know what I mean? He's the reason you're 10-1. All right, so that's just be grateful. All right, and there's a lot of stuff going. You know what I mean? But you're going to go back. Everybody wants to go back and look, to a playoff game in Tampa on the road. Against a better team. Okay, great. That's a cool story, man. Cool story. We'll see what happens this year. This book still has to be finished. Right. And even if this book isn't finished to the way that Eagles fans or the way the Eagles want it to be finished, it's you're talking about a third-year guy. We're talking about a third-year guy. I'd say there's a ton of upside and there's a ton of things to be happy about and grateful about if you're an Eagle fan. All right. Anything else is just hatred and nitpicking. And we talked about it last week. It was just me and Tom. All right. Will's had some problems. Greg was out. But everything this guy does is scrutinized. All right. And that's unfair. And it's actual bullshit. It's unfair and it's fucking bullshit. All right. And that's it. Right. So I love when he can, continue to do, continue with the D-Generation X. All right. And keep doing it. He won't do it because he's a class act, but I'll do it for everybody else. Keep doing it after every game, buddy. That's it. Right. You don't like it. Suck it. Keep moving, man. Keep the train moving. That's it. And, that's it. All right. So, whatever happens, whenever the train stops, right. And I'm sure he'll get all the blame for it. The train stops and it isn't, and there isn't a parade. I'm sure he'll get crucified. Could be anybody else's fault, but he'll get crucified. And that's what you gotta live with that. With that responsibility comes the big payday, big responsibility, and he's capable of it. He can handle it. He's a big boy. He stands in front of the microphone, and the guy's all business, and you gotta love that. You gotta love it. Huge character guy. I told you guys earlier in the separate chat, if you loved 5, how the hell could you not love Jalen Hurts? Dude is an absolute, and don't tell me it's 3 years in. Don't tell me to compare resumes. I'm just talking about as a human, as a person, right? And what he's capable of early on and what he's doing early on in his career, right? The stats don't lie. I mean, they're kind of eye popping, right? Here's another opportunity tonight to almost set a record. 100 yards. He rushed for 100 yards in a quarter. Oh, by the way, all right, which and fell a little bit short of the single game record, but doesn't matter how you get it done. There's going to be times when people are in the box. I mean, nobody knows if he can't beat them with his arm yet. He hasn't had to. I got news for you. He hasn't had to. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I don't think he can. Right? Like I don't think he can't. I don't think it's a thing where he can't beat you with his arms. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like if you want to take something away from him, like tonight they said beat us with your legs early. So if you want to take something away, he's going to beat you with something else. I feel like if you want to take away his legs, he still has the ability to run around and make plays. He still has shown enough growth this year to say, hey, I can beat you sitting in here. I can. Now I might not beat you every time. I might revert back to some ticks and some things that I have. But at the end of the day, I can beat you this way too. Now, is he the perfect pocket passer at this point of his career? No. He's got work to do still. But from last year to this year, it's light years. It's a light years difference. And that's how good it is.
He's improved in every measurable metric that you look at from a quarterback, right? Completion center just under 70%, right? I mean, that's what we talked about going into it, right? Can you up that completion percentage to just over 60 to just under 70? And that's where he's at right now, right? I mean, like the guy has done everything he's been asked to do. He's improved by every metrics. And I know I had questions going into the year, as I'm sure a lot of people did. There's no more questions. Like to your point, Tommy, can we nitpick some things today that we would like to see a little different just because we don't want the guy to take hits? Yeah, sure. Like, would I like you to throw the ball away a little bit more and, not necessarily run out of bounds after a 1 or 2 yard, like, I don't want to say pointless, right? But you know what I mean? Like, but you're taking another
Greg,
hit.
Real quick. Sorry. Yeah, most rushing yards in a game since I think it was like 1950 something, 353 rushing yards as a team.
And he's got
pretty good, I think. Pretty good.
Especially tonight, obviously, he's got probably half of them. But it's like, he's got a lot to do with it, whether he does it or not. We talk about that all the time, right, Tommy? And Sweeps, right? We talk about his ability to run opens up the run for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like everybody's gashing him for 200. We know that the Packers aren't great, but they played the Titans last week, who were pretty good on the ground, and they only ran for 88. You know what I mean? And they got King Henry. So obviously a chunk of that was Jalen, but Miles ran for 132. People take just so you can take out Jalen. I mean, you can take out Jalen all you want. Sanders ran for 132 by himself.
2nd and 8 here, trying to close it out. Miles about 3 yards, 3.5 short of a first. But yeah, he's ran great. I mean, his offense has been perfect tonight. And I think any of the critics, like I said, out there coming into this game, this is what you need to see. And now you see this, and everybody, everybody on calling in the talk shows all week, everybody was blowing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like ranking them ahead of a 9-1 football team. And this was really going on in Philadelphia this week, okay? By producers of so-called dial stations. A lot of people that probably have no feel for football were ranking Dallas ahead of us, okay, and Tampa Bay ahead of us, right? We're the only one with warts. Like, they don't have warts. Well, how's Tampa's wart this week? You lose in Cleveland, right? San Fran, you win 13-0. Like, and stop. They're a good football team, but stop. They're tough. All right, but if I play San Fran right now, we're favored, and we should win that football game. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that you can rank teams above a 10-1 football team at this point. Nobody's ahead in the pecking order here. All right. This is the alpha dog in the NFC. All right. This is the big lion who controls it, and he does all the eating. All right. We do all the eating right now. Until we lose a couple games in a row, where then we want to start panicking, sure. But if this continues, right? If this continues, how's anybody better than us? Like, you are literally what your record says you are. Yeah. So it's better to lose games. It's better to lose like 3 or 4 games and say, you know what? We fixed some things that way. No, we've noticed that by winning games, we've found ways to fix things as we go. And then there'll be hiccups like tonight, where you're not trying to give up 33 points, right? I mean, you could do without that. There'll be those nights. But overall, I think this defense is good enough. And I think as time goes and these guys get to play a little bit more together, right? Especially some of these guys up front, right? Yeah. And get a little bit feel of a system like a Robert Quinn, all those guys, right? I think that's going to help too. But overall, I mean, now it's like, okay, we need to get Gardner Johnson healthy again. So how long is he out with ribs? Obviously, some kind of rib injury. You just pray to God you get him back by the end of the year. So, I mean, we got injuries to deal with, and we've been dealing with it, and we found a way to win another football game dealing with it again. So I don't know what else people want. I know our second poll was Jalen Hurts is the MVP frontrunner. Do you agree or disagree? And let us know on Facebook and YouTube. Comment in. Is he?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so I mean, just to your point, I mean, not to just say something and just leave. I mean, I'll elaborate. You know what I mean? But you summed it up. Your little rant right there, which was fantastic, ties right into this. There's the guy that's there's the guy that's leading the ship. There's the guy that's running the ship of a 10-1 football team, right? And it has the stats to go with it. So, what I mean? I understand Mahomes is great. You know what I mean? So, that's awesome. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think it's Hurts. I mean, they're the best team in the NFC, arguably the NFL. I understand what the Chiefs have done. People kind of early on left them for dead before the season started. Excuse me. No Tyreek Hill. How are they going to survive? I mean, Pat's pretty good, and he still had Kelsey last time I checked. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if you lined up 8 UPS guys out there. You know what I mean? They were going to be okay. You're going to be okay. So, it's you I wouldn't argue, obviously, if you gave it to Pat. I'm just telling you that's my opinion, not as an Eagle fan. There's no homerism here. All right, they're a 10-1 football team, and he's the reason why they're 10-1. So that's the way I look at it.
Wick, thank you for the super chat, brother. It says 10-1. Hell yeah. Let's freaking go. I agree too. But it is between those two right now. And I have no problem who you would give it to because, again, I'm not in it for for these types of accolades. I'm in it for Broad Street, but gun to my head, I'd probably give it to this guy. I give it to this guy for a lot of reasons. And one is not that Patty can't run, but what he's been able to do with his legs this year is gigantic. You can't not factor that in the MVP voting, right? Like you got to factor in like total touchdowns. Total touchdowns. Got a lot of them. Yeah. So I don't know the number off my head, but I'm pretty sure it's more than him. If it's with him and Mahomes, I'm pretty sure he probably leads the NFL in total touchdowns. I would venture to guess after this week again, right? But it's probably close. But he has to because of what he does with his legs. So when you factor in both sides of his game and the fact that they're 10-1, I would give it to him too. I absolutely would. I think he deserves it. I think this football team deserves all the accolades they should get because, like I said, here's another week. We're talking about going to a locker room with a win. So I don't know what else people want.
Yeah. I mean,
Greg, you have a number? I'm scared to ask you.
I mean, you wouldn't get, like I said.
He's got 15 passing.
Is that counting tonight, though?
No.
So 17 passing.
17
and I think he has 18 rushing. Something ridiculous, right? Doesn't he have like a ton rushing? Or that might be over 2 years. But maybe not.
2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rushing.
8 rushing.
Yeah.
So what's that?
It's a lot of TDs.
23.
And what does Mahomes have? Like 30?
I mean, total offense. It's the same. It's always the same argument. And that's why I'm saying you could be
28. He's got 28 passing.
And I understand it could be a quick
rushing.
Because to me, it's always when you take 29. The guy off. It's when you're talking about just stats, which I understand. Mahomes got a ton of TD passes. When and he's that's why I've said I wouldn't argue with him. You know what I mean? But like a lot of times when you're talking about just stats, that's when it becomes the most outstanding player. You know what I mean? Because when your team is winning, and the Chiefs are winning too, so that's why I said it's a coin toss between them two. It's not like the Chiefs are 6-4 and he's just having a monster year. I mean, the Chiefs are very, very good. But it's the reason why this guy's 10-1. So I mean, if that's not an MVP, then I'm not sure. And it's through, like I said, through 11, 12 weeks. There still has to be. There's still some football to be played, but if you're asking us the question now, absolutely, I would vote for Jalen Hurts right now.
Yeah, I mean, either way,
I had a vote.
Yeah, either way. Talking weeks ago, he was in that top 5, and he's been up in there the majority of the season, and rightfully so, because he's been fantastic, and he's the leader of the best football team in the NFL, and that's record wise. And that's just winning, like you said, winning games in every type of different way is what's even more impressive when you're at this point of the year. Because now you really have a sample size. You have a base. You find out a lot about who you are, right? And a lot of teams do. And we've been in every type of game we've wanted to see this year, right? Every type of game. I mean, there isn't really a game that we haven't been in. If you look at it, low scoring, high scoring, coming back, right? Being down early, coming back, all types of different ways, right? And they've come out on top of those ways. So, if you're looking at it from an outside point of view, you look at on the Eagles, you say, man, this roster's loaded. This guy's been sensational at the quarterback position. And every week, even though there's some warts that will pop up, right? Week in, week out, they're 10-1. They're 10-1. So
yeah. You can't argue that, right? And it's tough to argue how it's not him. I will agree. Obviously, you guys have already said it. It's either him or Batty. Interesting, though, that going into this week, he was third odds-wise for the MVP. It was Patty at -150, Tua +500, and then Jalen at +550, just shy of Tua, which is pretty interesting.
Interesting, not surprising, though.
No, completely agree.
If you want to talk about, how they look at that.
Now, that was
what their record
before this week's games. Now, so I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that was going into this week's of play. So those odds obviously could adjust afterwards.
Well, we talked about with the injuries, weeks past, when Dallas got hurt and the importance of Jalen over the next few weeks to really show us what franchise quarterbacks do. And the conversation was go win football games, right? And now we're 2 weeks without Dallas Goedert. And both weeks, he's done it because his legs have gotten it done in big spots, right? Early on in this football games, his legs were important. And to win that game in Indy, his legs were gigantic in that game in Indy. So, Dallas gets hurt. We know it's a huge loss offensively. It's the middle of the football field for any quarterback, better yet a young quarterback, on how important that is. And the second most targeted guy on our football team. It's going to be a big loss and a great run blocker. So going to be a big loss. But he's done exactly what you would say. Hey, this is what franchise guys do. Right? If that guy goes out there for 400 yards or that guy goes rushes for 150, right? They put on the Superman cape and they come out and here I am. Right? I'm ready to take this whole team on my shoulders and go win a football game. And that's what he's done. And if you look around the league, like that's what you ask from franchise guys when guys get hurt, because that's part of the league. Are you good enough to win with less? So everybody will talk about the additions. Yeah, our additions are great. Our offensive line's great. But when injuries happen, which they do all around the league, or big ones like that, are you able to get it done?
This is Chris talking about you, I guess, about being a Howie hater. I mean, I figured I'd give you a chance to rebuttal that. The number one Howie hater talking about how good the roster is. LOMAO.
Well, I don't know if I was ever the number one Howie hater. I think if I go back, Chris, I think if I circle back and then I talk about the Justin Jefferson night or I talk about other egregious things on draft night, I have every right to. But at the end of the day, I give credit where it's due. And if you listen to me, since Howie's put the roster together, I've been nothing but praising him. I've been nothing talking about giving another extension. I don't even know what his extension is. I will give him another extension. So you're allowed to change your mind. Because what smart sports fans do, I want to riddle everybody this. What smart sports fans do is if they're wrong about something and a guy gets it right, they'll be the first to praise him. That's what smart sports fans do. Guys with agenda will just tell you about the things he's done wrong. He's been awesome, Chris. He's been awesome. He's went back to his roots of drafting. He's went back being sensational with the cap. He's moving and shaking. All right, but again, he's not perfect, but he's done a great job. But it is a great roster.
Yeah. I think that started. Yeah, Greg.
No, I was just saying, as much as he is to be praised for what we are right now, I mean, you have to make sure he did pass on some guys too, right? Like there are some studs out there that could be, in our colors right now. So he's done a great job adjusting and refocusing. But just like with everything, you can't go back and just automatically forget about what was.
Oh yeah, no, and I think listen, we've been fair, and I speak for Tommy and all you guys, and I think if nothing else, we're fair. With our assessments, I think somebody commented earlier we didn't get to that guy, which was Miles Sanders really making you guys pay. And it's like, okay, that's awesome, man. These Eagles are doing good. If calling players out, if calling coaches out, if calling GMs out, and front office guys out, and trying to hold them accountable is get an egg on your face, then throw a dozen eggs at me. You know what I mean? Because that's what we're always going to do here. You know what I mean? Like, and we're going to reel it back. I don't think if you're not listening to our show, at least. If you don't think that we absolutely have put Howie on this pedestal, right? I already said that he was, he's the executive of the year. This was like months ago. You know what I mean? With the AJ Brown fleecing was unbelievable. I know he's put it on the carpet the last 2 weeks. Everybody's ready to, punch him in the face, and it's you got to hang on to the ball, AJ. But he's still pretty good. Yeah. Monster addition for this team. All right, so he'll be okay. He's got.
Shit happens for a few weeks, right? Yeah. Now knock it off, right? I had enough. But But no, like the thing about Miles is if people want to act like anybody was wrong about Miles for 40 years, then guess what happened? I'm going to riddle everybody. You weren't watching. You weren't watching the same game we were. You were playing Madden and you didn't see any problems. That's what you would tell yourself. Because if you watched him for the last X amount of years, handful of years, even going back to college, you would have the same gripes. But guess what he's done? He listened to HUD. He commented in on the Instagram because he wasn't happy. All right? But at the end of the day, he listened to his problems. Mm-hmm. So as much as he said we might not know football because he's upset, He knows we know, and that's the only reason you're going to say it to somebody. Make sense? Because you know what we said hit home. Because you didn't just hear it on A2D. You heard it from Deuce. You heard it when he was here. You heard it from guys nowadays that are your coaches. You've heard it. But guess what? Now you want to pay contract year. Funny how guys seem to focus a little more. Funny how guys seem to stay on the field a little bit more. Funny how guys don't fumble the football anymore. So any gripe of Miles coming into this year, it was never talent, because we're not going to grab gripes with guys that aren't talented. You understand? Those guys just don't make teams. But with guys with talent, second-round picks, first-round picks, third-round picks, with those guys come expectations. So when you have those expectations, guess what's going to happen? We're going to be critical if you don't reach those expectations. That's how it works. That's how the whole sports work. That's how sports media companies work and survive, right? That's how people who love sports talk sports with their boys in the car. That's how it goes, babe. So I love to circle back jerk-offs. Like, I'm going to circle back and spit in your face over something you said 2 years ago or something you said at the beginning of the year. Then spit in my face over me not believing in Jalen Hurts on draft night. Spit in my face there, because I've nothing but admitted the things that I thought he couldn't do. I've been nothing but love this kid, put my arm around him. Or I'm so happy he's my franchise quarterback, because the intangibles we all knew about. They were never a question mark here. But the ability to get better in the pocket and throwing the football was. And he shoved it. And if there's a guy who we thought could do it, it was him, because of what we knew was up here in his head, right? But that doesn't mean nowadays, like, I can't say, yo, that's my guy. Why? So everybody on draft night, the night 5 got drafted, that booed, can never circle around when we go to our first NFC title game and love him before he throws a pick? Of course they can. You're allowed to change your opinion in this. You're allowed to have a different opinion now. You better not be changing your opinion week to week, because then you're a fraud, right? But over time and over a sample size, that's what sports talk's about. That's what being a fan's about. Is I don't like this guy. Oh, shit, that guy proved me wrong. Or I don't think this guy can play. Oh, that guy proved me wrong. So, guys, enjoy this. Enjoy 10-1. Stop looking for flaws. Stop looking to tell somebody you were wrong. Enjoy the ride, man. 10-1 don't come around all the time. Being this good of a football team, when we thought we were going to be good, but did we think we were going to be this good? No. I had 12 wins, and that's on the upside, right? But this is really good. Right through 11 weeks, this is, woo. I won't pinch myself. Sometimes I turn the game on, and I don't have the same pizzazz, because I don't expect them to lose.
Yeah.
You understand? When you're the dog and you're the underdog, you're up every snap, right? And you're up in it, right? We've been underdog plenty of times. And you're up in it. Every defensive play, you're like, let's go, right? Now I turn the game on, I'm like so relaxed. One, because I got wiggle room for mistakes, right? Being 9-1, now 10-1. But the other side of it is, I don't expect us to lose. If you look back on regular season football from the second half of last year into this year, I don't know if anybody has more wins. I'm pretty much going to guess that nobody in football has more wins than we do over that time period right there. That's amazing. That goes to your quarterback. That goes to your coach. That goes to your culture. And you have one blip, right, Sweeps? One little blip on your radar. And that's the Tampa Road loss in the playoff game, which young quarterback, young team, first-year head coach, come on, that's expected. Now, year 2, we saw growth. So when you see the growth in Jalen, and I don't like everything Nick does, but you see the growth in Nick, okay? Mm-hmm. How do you not think that this team's not better than the team last year? How do you not assume going into playoff football, if I'm majority of my squad's healthy, how do you not expect to win? Because everything's been checked off. Besides that, everything from coaching, the offensive coordinator, when we talked about Steichen coming into the year and, as an unknown, right? All those things. They've been checked off. You're 10-1. The only thing that's not fully checked is your loser defensive coordinator. Okay? That's the only thing that's like not Sharpied in. The rest is Sharpie talk. He'll always be a loser. No, I don't care if he has a top. I'll never like him. I'll give him credit, though, when he has good weeks, though. Fair? I'll never like him. but I will give him credit when he does have good weeks. Okay, and this week's just one of those games, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't really blame a coordinator. I just felt you got in a little shootout today, little shootout party early. That happens. I thought you cleaned it up a little bit. You had some big turnovers, etc. You got to the quarterback.
When you need them.
Yeah, you got to the quarterback. You were getting off the field on third down. Our rush defense is going to be atrocious. We know that. That's why we need to play with leads. But that's our biggest, if you're saying, what's our biggest issue? Probably rush defense. But overall, again, we're 10-1, and everything's sharpied off, check mark wise. So what's left, boys? Stay healthy.
Cash the over 9.5 ticket today. Cha-ching!
Yeah, feels good. Sure feels good.
Absolutely.
Go Birds says, it's annoying we are 10-1 and things are so close in the division. Most divisions would be an easy street the rest of the way. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is a tough one. There's some other tough ones, but this one definitely has proven a lot of people wrong, right, on how good record-wise division. I still think the Giants stink. Okay, I think Brian Daboll's had a sensational year, but they stink. Right? We kept talking about that's gonna come out and show its ugly face, and they have. Bill says, when you watch football for over 4 decades, you can clearly see that he wasn't reading the field last year. Short passes, stupid mistakes, just took off running. And now it's simple to say he's QB1. Oh, yeah, Bill. And again, is he a finished product in there? No, but he's better. He's better. And if you told me he was going to be better, I'd be happy as a pig in shit. Right, Greg?
Yep. I'm with you. I mean, that's all we asked for. Even though we all had questions going into it, show us growth. Show us you're taking that next step. And he has done everything with that.
He really has. Like I've liked a lot of quarterbacks that have come through here, right? I sort of call myself a quarterback guy, right? Like Randall, I loved. Obviously, I was young, but I love Randall. How could you not? I love 5. I liked when Foles was first here. And then I like Vic, obviously, and then we loved Carson. We thought he was a guy, and I love Hurts.
I thought you were gonna skip right over.
No, I won't do it because I did like the guy.
I thought just for content reasons, I thought you were just gonna skip right over him, and we and Greg would have allowed it.
But at the end of the day, the difference of this guy from every one of those quarterbacks we talked about, to me. And the only one that compares to him in terms of winning a ton of football games is 5, right? He didn't win the ultimate game, right? Or get there enough times. But in terms of winning regular season games, they're like, as of right now, they look to be a lot alike, right? But this guy up here is the best out of every one of them. And when you don't know that on draft night, right? Like, look at Zach Wilson, right? You don't know, okay, this guy's got tools, and Wilson had tools, right? But you don't know what's up here.
Well,
Are you a little soft?
Yeah,
Are you a little soft?
Drawer full of cougar panties. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Are you a little soft upstairs? You take a couple hits, do you check out? You don't know those things. What you know about Jalen Hurts is you knew those things on draft night. That's why he went as high as he went. Because you know that in terms of leadership, people love him, respect him, and he's a worker. You knew those things on draft night. So if you go back to that we all talk about Howie Roseman gave himself an insurance policy on that draft night. And his insurance policy was, I just lost a playoff game because my quarterback couldn't stay healthy again. I'm not going to have it happen again. I'm going to make sure I have a kid, not a 40-year-old Josh McCown, and I'm going to have a kid that can actually step in and play. So he got all it was an insurance policy.
That's it.
And that insurance policy, like most storms, you better have one, right? Because when the storm comes, you don't want your house floating in the Gulf of Mexico and you didn't have an insurance policy. That's why he's a great businessman. That's why it was a home run pick. Even if we didn't like the pick or were confused, because if you remember on draft night, when I sat back, I said, I know why he did this. I know why he did it. He's not going to have Josh McCown. If Carson gets hurt in a playoff game, he's going to be able to go to jail. And we got a chance to win a football game. Everything that transpired after that, nobody would have known.
Yeah, and that's what I think that's the key thing you said right there was even management, even everybody in that building. I mean, Doug, obviously he's giving Doug credit for it, and I'm sure Doug wanted him. All right, you know what I mean? But for that very reason, all right, it wasn't to be the starter. I don't care what they tell you. You know what I mean? It was exactly what it was for. All right. The dude is, Carson's made of, you got to wrap him in bubble tape. You know what I mean? Bubble wrap. All right. And that's the bottom line. And they just weren't going to look at it again. They weren't going to be like, hey, we're not going to be in a playoff game and have this happen again. We want to have a kid that's capable of, that we can, they can learn the offense, can go in there and maybe be some instant offense and move the chains and get us to the finish line, especially in a home game, when our defense is playing well. So I agree with you. I think to me, that's the funniest thing. Like, as much as people want to throw stones at, at A2D guys or talking heads, it came from within. Like, nobody took him at that pick. They might have probably took him higher. They probably could have got him a little lower because, there's probably some people that believed him. I'm not saying that people didn't believe in him, but, for majority of NFL, didn't think he was going to be an NFL starter, at least right away. So, I think that, I think they could have got him a little later. So I think it was more of, and the initial thing was, whoa, at 53? At 53? I think we had some other needs right there, and then, maybe we can get them a little later, I mean, for that insurance policy that Tom's talking about. So I think that was mostly what it was. And then that's where the early hatred of the pick came from, not the kid himself, and not, from him not taking his ball and leaving after he lost his job at Alabama, and then waiting it out and then going to Oklahoma and doing his thing. And, listen, couldn't have been a higher quality character pick, great kid. And we all said that, hard worker, all that stuff. I mean, it was
the great thing is that I think going and playing for Lincoln Riley for a year in an offense that's more of throwing the football suited than what Nick was going to play with him at Bama, even though he wasn't going to play anymore. I get that. But, that's a more pro style throw the football offense that makes you have to get better at that too. Yep. Now, I don't think he came into the league ready for that, but at least he had a little taste of it before he came in, because he did throw the ball well there that year. Big 12, I get it. I understand all that, but he did throw the football well and showed growth at it. So, when I look back at that, I say, I can see where they could see that maybe not in a year or 2 years, but over the time of him under his rookie deal, right? I thought that they figured at the end of that deal, they no longer have to pay 11 anymore, and they can, because that's when that deal gets easier to get out of the money. That they move on from one, the other guy slides in, and he's had a lot of time to just digest, right? The goal was never to play him that early. That was never their goal. But guess what? That's what happened, and credit to him. And then we fire a coach, obviously, and things like that happen. Where we've landed on our feet as an organization. And I'll say this about, we'll give out our game balls and players of the game. If you just join us, Eagles win 37-30. They improved to 10-1 on the season. A huge win tonight against the Packers, and cover. For all the coverers out there, 6.5, and love to have you. Love to have you. Oh, no, they didn't. They did cover, right? 37-30? Or they not? They just tell people the wrong. Yeah, no, 40-33. 40-33. Sorry. A lot of scoring tonight. That's all me. 40-33. I know I said it wrong. I don't know where I was going.
But I don't agree with that guy. I think, come on, Carson was still the starter.
6.5.
It's easy to say that. Yeah, 6.5. And UConn's covering. It's a very, very good day for the good guys. UConn romping and rolling here. I mean, I don't think that's true at all. I don't think if you thought that, that Carson was done, I don't know if he means like his days were numbered, or if he meant that you couldn't see that he was done, on the field. I mean, that's he.
Well, I don't think anybody saw that he was done on the field, because two teams gave him a chance to be a starter after the fact. So, and one guy lost his job because of what, he thought he could resurrect him in Indy. And even Frank couldn't, because he was just done, because he mentally was done. He was fried. That's what happens sometimes when you go through everything that you went through and you're injured all the time too. So I don't want to talk about him anymore, because we're 10-1, and the Eagles landed on their feet. Was the whole point of that little rant, is they landed on their feet. And Jeffrey Lurie's done a great job of hiring coaches, and they've done it again. They've done it again, because now we have a legitimate sample size on both guys, which are the two most important things when you're talking about a franchise. We talk about your head coach and your quarterback. Well, those two guys seem to have a great relationship. Those two guys seem to win a lot of regular season games, and we're going to give out game balls here.
And real
Go
quick,
ahead, Greg.
Tommy, on that, I think what's crazy is, and I think it's shown in his growth too. This is the first year that he's had the same offensive coordinator as the previous year. You know what I mean? When you're at a school like Alabama, right?
Since his dad, Greg. Since his dad
in high school. Since his dad is high school. But like when you're at Alabama, all those offensive coordinators become head coaches somewhere else, right?
Yeah, immediately.
Then you go to Lincoln Riley for a year, and then you're shuffling, and you know that's not a cop out, right? Because in the NFL, the same thing kind of happens, like the top D1 schools, right? The offensive coordinators kind of, or just the coordinators in general, kind of move and shake and stuff like that. But that, I think, has been huge to his growth this year. It's the same guys in the same room talking the same message, right? And I think that's allowed him to take those leaps and bounds, which he has this year.
Well, look at Mahomes, Greg. I mean, I hate to use Mahomes. I know he's going through some things, but let's be real. You know, Andy's the play caller there, right? Yeah. And he's had the same offense, for how many years? So, I mean, not only
the other guy doesn't have a job.
Yeah, and there's a reason, he's obviously awesome, but there's a point that, like, if you get to play in the same system for a while and you have talent, you should get better, right? Even when people don't think you will. Like, people thought Mahomes was going to have a down year. Okay, hold my beer, because I'm arguably the best quarterback in football. So, and I think when you have that, I think that's gigantic. I don't think people understand the importance of, like, okay, every other year you're getting a new system. I mean, look at Trevor Lawrence this year. We're halfway through the year, a little bit more than that now, and he's starting to click. And you can see it. Sure. Starting to click because he has a real head coach, and not a loser like Urban Meyer. But he's clicking for the other side of it. He's got to play in this for a minute now. He's got to play in the West Coast style offense for a second. Where do you see his jump next year? Where do you see it? Because that's a monster jump coming in his junior year next year. He might be a top 5 in the end. You can put it on the record right now. He might be top 5 MVP conversation next year. Because they're going to be even better. Because their young guys are just going to get a year older, and I think they're even going to be better. And you get rid of Urban.
And to Zach's point a little while ago, I mean, and Zach's probably right. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, Zach, about Tomlin going to take him. So the Eagles had to take him at 53. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, I know there's a lot of whispers in the league. A lot of people talk. So you get a lot of information. I get that. But, I think a lot of that stuff comes out after you see how he turned out. You know what I mean? So, I was like, oh, shit, we were going to take him. Good thing you guys took him. You know what I mean? So, and I listen, and very well, I'm not saying, that's not true. You know what I mean? Tomlin very well might have been all in. You know what I mean? I don't, It's easy to say that after the fact until you're on the clock, and then you're like, "Whoa, we take this guy now." I know Ben was on his way out, so they were looking for a replacement. So obviously, it would have made sense. So I hear you. You know what I mean? So that's why I believe that I'm not. I believe that there's some truth to it. So I was just saying that was the initial thought. Not saying I was making that prediction. It was just the initial thought that everybody had was, "Whoa, couldn't we have got him a little later?" You know what I mean? And of course, speculation comes out that no, there were guys he was going to get taken here or there. So, it looks like it was, it was the, and then it was the right time.
Yeah, it was. And we're in great shape, and we get another dog test next Sunday too before we give out our game balls. We got
early line came out 6, Eagles -6, and 44.5 is the first line.
-6 and 44.5.
Yeah.
Well, Tennessee plays everybody tough, so you feel like you're in a dogfight.
Yeah.
No matter how you look at it, I feel like I'm in a dogfight. So, if you're asking me, if you're asking me early, I could see a 3 to 7 point win. You know what I mean? If you're asking me early.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Ted. I was saying I think I wasn't saying Zach was wrong. I was just saying I know I heard the reports as well. You just it's. And they always hear whispers. So, I mean, of course, they knew something. And listen, the rest is history. So, it doesn't matter. There's no reason to revisit it. It is what it is.
Yeah, it was just part of an aggressive rant.
No, not you. I'm just
saying. No. The people. Why we even got this far?
Yeah. About 53. That's all.
But listen, if you're just joining us, I mean, make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe. Stay with us for a while. Hit the like on the video. We appreciate you all tuning in. Eagles 10-1. It feels so good. If anybody's negative out there on social media, just block them. That's what I want the people to do tonight. Just go block them because there's agenda guys. There's not real fans. There ain't real fans. If nobody wants to rally around your quarterback at this point, they ain't fans. All right? They care more about being right or whatever other agenda they have than just saying, yo, this dude can play. This cat's the real deal, Holyfield, and everything else that comes with it. So I'm excited, but early thought next week, I think it's a close one. I do think we win, but I think it's a little bit of a close one. Do you think otherwise, Greg?
No, I definitely don't, because their strength and their biggest strength and probably their only strength on offense is our biggest weakness right now, right? And that's the rushing attack and specifically the tackling, right? You know what I mean? Like, again, if you want to look at pieces to nitpick this, this game, I just thought our tackling again was just a little off, right? Where you need to everyone loves a good gang tackle, but let's gang tackle for a loss instead of a 4 or 5 yard gain and stuff like that. But no, I definitely agree. Next week should be a physical game. I see Dinger in there. Next week would be perfect for all three phases to ball out. Yes, that would be perfect. I would love to see that offensive line just become stout against Derrick Henry and force Tannehill to beat us.
Yeah, I think in a game like that, you'd say it's easier. It's never easier, but it's easier in terms of saying, okay, he's not gonna, it's not gonna beat us. It's not gonna beat him. We're not gonna let that guy beat us tonight.
Right.
And Tannehill's legs are. He's got a lower leg injury too. So, to your point about making him throw, because he's a good athlete. So when he's healthy, he can beat you with his legs too. You know what I mean? Not like to a Jalen Hurts level, right? But he can. Yeah, exactly. He can extend plays, and then guys can run open. So it doesn't look like he's able to do that the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we saw what that offense is with my boy Malik back there. So Tannehill's going to play as long as he's upright.
Yeah. Game balls. Okay, game balls. Offensive and defensive game balls is brought to you by BOAGGIO'S Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. The home of the best stuffed breads, Italian specialties, everything you want. Sandwiches, desserts, they got you covered. You get 10% off your in-store purchase if you use promo code A2D. BOAGGIO'S Bread, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. If you're in the area, go check them out. They're I can't even talk about enough on how good they are. They're delicious.
I wish they delivered. I wish they delivered. I'd order them weekly down here.
Yeah, they don't deliver that far, I don't think yet. But maybe they'll make us, maybe they'll make a little special request for you. Game ball wise, offensively, this might be the easiest one of all time, but that's definitely going to be Jalen. What he was able to do with his legs in this football game is gigantic. Who knows where we're at without 153 yards on the ground for him as a whole. And there's other guys that give game balls too, obviously, but I'll go with Jalen for us offensively, and for them to give them a little game ball. I'll give a game ball to Jordan Love there. Coming in cold. You have two little drives. You know what I mean? One for a touchdown, I know the other one's for a field goal. But you come in and you put up 10 points, and you get the ball to the other young guy that you probably practice with a lot. You know what I mean? And the rookie wide receiver this year that you probably have some reps with. So him and Watson had a little bit of a chemistry together, it looked like. I
just looked at his line, Watson's line.
Yeah, what was it?
4 for 110.
Everything
he caught was a big play.
Yeah, well, the one was what was the long?
63 long.
63.
Yeah, that'll help your numbers out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When nobody wants to cover. But yeah, you're right. Those two young guys is what the Packers do, right? They've done it for years. There's always the next guy up. If you ever think he ain't going to be able to play, you better hold on. I'm not saying he can, but you better hold on, because there's something to be able to be said when you can have a guy sit and wait and learn. There's something to be said. There is. Now, it doesn't always work out, but it seems it works out there all the time. Now, he's not the answer. This is late in a football game. I'm not saying he's the definition of an answer, but if I'm a Packers fan, I feel good leaving tonight. knowing that guess what? I might see those two the rest of the year, and I got to find out if the guy replacing Rodgers one day can play or not. I get a little sample and a taste of that in a year where I was going nowhere, right? In a year I have nothing to look forward to in Packerland. I got something to look forward to, I guess.
Now after the loss, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He's not playing the rest of the year.
Yeah. My game.
Nor should he, because real quick, Sweeps, they should want to get him right for next year because they're still in win now mode.
Right.
In case they missed it. You know what I mean? And then you get some of these wide receivers back a second year. Listen, Rodgers still a baller. I mean, I got a feeling, if he's
that's why the game was as close as it was for a while.
Yeah, if he's healthy, he's going to be fine. Not making an excuse this year, but in years past, without the injury, he's a stud. I mean, it probably hurts throwing the football a little bit. But go ahead, game balls.
5 of them to the offensive line. This is the best offensive line in football, which I think we already knew it was arguably there. We were talking about there's a lot of good lines in football, so I don't need to hear from Pro Football Focus or any of those other nerds. You know what I mean? My eyeballs tell me that this is a mauling unit. I see this team every week. All right, this is the area, and I watch Red Zone, so I watch a lot of football. All right, this team, this offensive line mauls you. All right, they're an absolute group of absolute savages and maulers. All right, they maul your face off. All right, they can pass block and they love the run block. I mean, 353 yards on the ground. All right, that's I understand the playmakers are the guys that get credit for it. All right, but those guys up front, I mean, you can drive trucks through these holes. All right, I mean, and you don't even need the K-turn. You can turn around. You can drive a Mack truck through these holes, and then you can turn around comfortably. You know what I mean? Not like Austin Powers. Not like Austin Powers where you got to make 4. You can turn around and make another turn inside these holes. So these guys are fantastic, and it's just kudos to them.
And they got a Christmas album coming out, so they're multi-talented.
yeah, they're a lot of fun.
I'll go to the other guy on the offense who was dynamite tonight, and again benefited from sweeps and your offensive line, and it was Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders had a really good game. 130, 120, 143 for Miles and 2 tutties. Also caught the ball 3 times for 17 yards. So again, obviously the offensive line led to most of that. But Miles is having a great year.
Absolutely.
And in a contract year. So no better time to have it, man.
2 guys run for 140. One being your quarterback. I mean, it's insane. Absolutely insane.
Custo's design. Game ball tonight should go to Coach Stout. He's also the run game coordinator, and that means he works with Jalen as well on how to execute when he runs and hands it off, including the RPOs. Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. Defensive side of the football, Sweeps, who do you got game ball to?
Man, it could be that young kid. I mean, that was in a critical time. That's a hell of a pick, man. We talk about the red zone, taking the ball away in the red zone. Bend don't break. So, very well could give it to the young kid Blankenship.
and he also in a short period of time filling in for CJ ended up leading the team in tackles or tied for the lead in tackles. He had six total tackles with 3 solos. So. No, he definitely played well. I know they liked him coming out of camp. Obviously, the trade for CJ was going to put him on the outs. From mini camp and stuff like that. But they definitely liked him. And the only knock I have is that personal foul penalty, right? You gotta know better. You can't come in near the head, right? And that was one of his first plays, but he made up for it. So. He played really well. It's a really good pick. Isn't really much. I mean, since he showed up for the first time, it feels like all year. I'll give a game ball to Fletch. had a big sack there.
Yeah. I mean, they also gave up
they have 3 total sacks.
I mean, they gave up 342 yards too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there wasn't anybody that stood out. That's why I
Right.
mean the kid, like you said, the kid had 6 tackles and a pick, and you can give it, you can give it to anybody you want to give it to, not you, anybody, but it wasn't anybody glaring. You give up, a win is a win, but it wasn't like they pitched a shutout and had 9 sacks.
Exactly. But yeah, I'll go. Fletch finally showed up. I was, out
third
with
down
my,
sack anyway.
out
Yeah,
with my family. Yeah, out
A
with
third-
family. And
Well,
Fletch,
Greg.
welcome to the year. Welcome to the year, Fletch.
Greg,
third
I'll
down
say
sack.
this. I mean, the more you have defensive tackles that can rotate in, I think the better Fletcher Cox you're going to have this year. I think when you guys get guys a little longer in the tooth, like a lot of these D tackles are here, the more breathers you can give them, I think over the longevity of a season, you're going to have a healthier, more explosive athlete when the time's the biggest. And that's coming up here, in these months where we talk about when football really gets rolling and in the playoff time. I think the more you can have fresh guys, I think that's the biggest benefit, not only getting Sue and Joseph, was that, oh man, Fletcher doesn't have to play 70 snaps anymore. I mean, that's ridiculous. He's not a 70 snap guy. That guy's probably dead. So now that I can give him some blows, I told him that sack, he was extremely explosive too. That's the thing I took out of him. He had a couple good plays tonight where he was explosive. And guess what? If he can give me 5 to 7 of those plays a night, not saying 5 or 7 snaps, but in 25, 30 snaps, if he can give me 7 explosive plays, that's a huge win for my defense.
Yeah. No,
and now I'm going to be getting Jordan Davis back in the coming weeks. Maybe this week, maybe the following week. I wouldn't rush him back when you're 10-1. Let him get right, but he's going to be coming back soon, and then that gives you. Now you're even deeper. So this is where Jonathan Gannon has to get creative and figure out ways to hey man, how do I get Robert Quinn home? How do I get some of these guys in to the quarterback more? I mean, we did have 3 sacks tonight. I thought our pressure was a little inconsistent, but we did have 3. So whatever. I mean, Sue made Rodgers step up on the 1, and Sweat was able to get him. Then you had the combo sack between Reddick and Graham, and then you had the Fletcher Cox sack. So, But the big they did tonight, and I don't know, I got to go look at the numbers, but I feel like they did a good job of getting off the field on 3rd down. Or a better job, even though they gave up 33 points, which is weird to say, right? Like, hey, how'd they do a better job on 3rd down? I don't know, but I feel like
Packers were 1 of 7.
1 for 7 on 3rd down.
Oh, there you go. So they did a pretty good job, and they still give up 33 points. But that's because, listen, I mean, we had 500 total yards of offense tonight.
Yeah, 500
total yards of offense. We gave up 342. All right, both had 11 drives. They had 7 yards per play. We had 6.3. They had 236 yards passing. We had 137.
Eagles had 30 more plays.
Eagles had 30 more plays. That's insane. And the same amount of drives.
Well, that goes to your 3rd down stat, because obviously 1 for 7 is heinous. So good job getting off the field, but it's not a huge sample size. You usually see that in the 13s, 14s, and 15s. You know what I mean? That means that the Packers were scoring early. They weren't getting the 3rd down. You know what I mean? They were moving the chains earlier. You know what I mean? And that's when you don't get a lot of plays, like you said.
And the Eagles 8 for 15 on 3rd down. That's where the more plays come in. Right? Because now they're 8 for 15 on 3rd down, 2 for 3 on 3rd. Only 1 questionable one. I get why they do it, but in that where that game is right there, I probably punt the first one, even just not because they didn't get it, just because the situation. Do I want to give them any type of a spark? Mm-hmm. And then there's the other side of it. You go for it, you get it, you take the spark away from them that way too, and you've been so good at doing it. You're almost expecting to get that 1st down. So listen, you're 2 for 3 on 4th down.
They got it on 3rd down, right? They got it on 3rd down. It was just a bad spot.
Yeah, they may have. It was close.
Yeah,
it was close. Neptune says he'll drive Gannon to the airport. Yeah, whatever fee you need, brother. There's just too much. There's too much talent up front on this defense for them not to be getting a lot more pressure. And I'll say it again. Sometimes you have to bring a 5th guy to give guys one-on-ones, to give guys the ability for offensive lines not to be able to shift their lines one way or the other, right? You got to be able to do some things like that to help your front. And you say, well, Tom, when I have this much money or these many playmakers up front, why do I have to help them? You have to help every front around the National Football League. You do. Because it's 5-on-4 every time if you're not. Right? So every time the offense is on a power play, if you decide not to bring somebody, and maybe even 6-on-4 if they keep the blocker in.
They keep the tight end in.
Right? Or tight end, or running back, etc. So all the time, they got it. So he's so worried. I got to get this off my chest. This loser is so worried because he's a former defensive back, supposedly, which I don't know who he's covering. All right? But he's so worried about making sure his D-backs aren't put in bad situations that he's scared to bring extra guys. That's the reason. So you don't care about your front because your front pressure helps your D-backs. So I just riddle them that. Because now if you have 5-on-5 or you bring somebody from another spot, doesn't mean you always get home. But guess what that allows, though? It allows a guy like Robert Quinn to beat somebody, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, right? Your D tackles. It allows somebody to maybe get a one-on-one and win that battle. But if you never do it, you're not helping those guys. You're just helping your D-backs. But when you have two D-backs of the caliber of Darius Slay and James Bradbury, calm the fuck down, John. Calm down. Like, if you have me, Greg, and Sweeps, all right, babe. All right.
We need help.
But you have the guy who leads the national, before the injury night, leads the National Football League in interceptions. You have Darius Slay who's an all-pro, and James Bradbury who's essentially an all-pro. And we're not even talking about you're playing without Avonte Maddox. So when you have him, you're in really good shape. So I'm not telling you got to bump and run and play press all the time. You can play zone and blitz, in case you didn't know. Like, I can help you with those X's and O's if you need help. So it doesn't always have to be, oh, I got to play man the blitz. No, you don't. Who said that? Who said that? You got to blitz creatively. And I stand by this. I don't care. You got to blitz 35 to 40% of the time, or you're not helping nobody out. I stand by that. Because if you're not doing that, you're allowing the punch to keep coming to you. Screw that shit, man. When he brought TJ Edwards last week against the Colts up the middle there, incomplete pass, blah, 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 because you got to rush and throw. Yep. It helps. If you bring 4 there and let Matt Ryan sit in the pocket, maybe he has a big play. If you allow Rodgers to have time, guess what happens? Usually a big play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a little tired of, I'm just worried about my D-backs. Dude, worry about your defensive front getting some pressure. Because as soon as you the way I look at it is I bring pressure early. And the reason I bring pressure early is because I'm not going to allow you to get comfortable. Because the second you get in a rhythm versus me, you're going to score points, right? That's factual for every quarterback. But if I can start hitting you a little bit and hitting you a little bit more, even if you're getting passes off, if I'm just making your feet feel a little uncomfortable, right now I set the tone on how this game's going to go tonight. So does it mean I don't get beat? I get beat by bringing 4 guys. So what's the difference?
Yeah. You give up the big play anyway.
So I can create more turnovers by pressure. So if anybody out there wants to sit back and tell me, Tom, that there's teams in this league that can bring 4 80% of the time and they get home a lot, I'm going to tell you you're an asshole and a liar. That's what I'm going to tell you. Because I don't even got the numbers in front of me. There's no way that team would be top 5 in sacks in the National Football League. There isn't that team. There isn't that team. And that's the ratio we're at right now. 80-20. 20. Your wife, you are never aggressive in the bedroom. Like, never one time you say, put a little something cute on for Johnny tonight. You know what I mean? Put your best outfit on. Stay in your pajamas, honey. I'll be in later. You know what I mean? It's the kind of guy this guy is. And I don't need Jim Johnson, rest in peace. I don't need Jim Schwartz. I just need a guy with a sack. Like, you can't come out and say, well, you said that. Like, well, I like to make sure my D-backs are in good spots. What about your linebackers? Who in case you missed it, they like the blitz. They enjoy that.
Hurts' necklace. Is that all diamonds?
And they're playing well.
That's
Should
heavy.
be.
My God,
Yeah, that outfit walking in looked like he was out of the Matrix.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
Yeah, well, you need the heavy when you're about to get the suitcase you're about to get.
When you're about to get the bag.
You got to get this briefcase after the year. He knows what he's getting. He said, Kyler Murray got what? Kyler Murray got what again? Now, you hope.
I don't even play video games.
Well, people out there are like, pay the man. Dude, why would, first off, as a fan, knowing how much you own $6 million over 4 years is so much easier to work with cap-wise, you should never say, pay that man. Of course he deserves to get paid. But I also ain't rushing to deliver the bag because that means other things are going to get hurt. So, I'm not in that. But Jonathan Gannon does have to do a better job of just being aggressive because there's so much talent defensively that you can get away with doing it, guys. That's the whole point. If you were limited like last year, right, where you were you were way more limited with your personnel than you are this year. So when upgrade with personnel, I don't care where they rank in points per game and all that shit. That stuff's cool. You can blitz 35% of the time and still do those things, and maybe even at a higher level.
Yeah, I mean, how many times? I mean, to your point, Tommy, how many times does all of us sit there in a game and be like, "Where's the pressure at? Where's the pressure at?" Like, it's all fine and good if you want to try and get pressure with your front four, but when it doesn't happen, you got to mix it up. You got to mix it up. You got to bring something. Because, again, the Packers didn't necessarily deserve to be in this game, but you give Rodgers, who is just an all-time great, that much time, he's gonna keep that team in the game. Yeah,
and that's what I mean. That's the second what you're saying there. So that's twofold. You know what I mean? There's only a handful of guys in this league that are elite quarterbacks anyway, that when you blitz, will find where it came from, right? We'll be quick enough and make a quick enough decision and the right decision to find the hot read or, where that ball is supposed to come out, right? Most of these guys are, like I said, they're average quarterbacks. They're okay, right? They're not quite tomato cans, So when you blitz them and you create pressure with them, they're going to shit down their leg. That's just reality.
There's only two guys in the league that I'm not blitzing. There's only two guys in the league that I'm probably not going to blitz at a 40% rate. And that's Patrick Mahomes, and that's probably Josh Allen. They're the two guys I'm probably not blitzing at that rate. I'm just not an idiot. Doesn't mean then I'd probably do it 25%. Right? I take it down a tick because I got to pray my front four can win in those types of games. Yeah. Right? But it doesn't mean I can't ever be aggressive to them. Because if I disguise it, I do it the right way, then maybe I can beat them. In terms of the NFL right now, they're the guys that are probably the only guys that you probably steer away from.
Well, they can get out the back door too. So that's the thing that, those guys hurt you because of their legs. I mean, if they were statue guys, you probably still come after them and you would pick your spots. But the fact that they're both just A-plus athletes, they get out the back door with their legs. And now a guy like Diggs is open 30 yards down the field. Mahomes has got Kelsey open or one of those other.
Same thing with Jalen, right?
All those gadget guys. Yeah, I know.
They talk about here, like he's a hard guy to blitz. Because if you miss and he escapes, he's going for 40. And the same thing with those two guys. And Lamar's almost pretty similar to that, being able to run. He just hasn't been. He has nothing to throw the ball to.
And I think that's the next.
And he's not. And he's got to rely too much on his legs there, just the way they're built.
Exactly what you said there. I think that's the next progression with those two guys. They use their legs out of necessity, and it does, and. But they're still looking for the home run. You know what I mean? Jalen's getting, he is the home run. All right. So he doesn't necessarily have to look for the home run. He is the home run. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to criticize the guy. I'm just saying now as you continue to mature and he keeps playing more games and stuff, when that happens and you get out the back door like he does, he's so elusive. I mean, he can't get this guy on the ground. And then maybe keeps his eyes up. Not without looking at film and saying, oh, well, he might have ran for 30, but he did miss a guy that was wide open. I don't know that, you know what I mean? But, they're not going to, I don't know that, you know what I mean? But I'm saying that's what the other two guys are just as, they're elusive as well. They have the big time arms. I mean, they have those plus arms where they're looking to get out with their legs, and then they're looking to throw it 70 yards down the field. All right. So once he become that, once Jalen starts figuring that out a little bit too, the sky's the limit. And then,
him and Josh Allen are really similar, and not in terms of like size. But in terms of physicality, in terms of taking probably too many hits, in terms of if you want to give me that gap, I'm just going to go. Like, I'm not even going to hesitate. And Allen's done a way better job now in his career than he was early on. But he's still a guy. Mahomes is never really looking to run. He's looking to extend and then hit you for 50, right? Allen's looking for a combo. If you give it to him quick, he's out. Night, he's going and he's running hard like a running back. A guy that most D-backs don't want to tackle. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. I mean, they're almost spitting images, not in terms of not in terms of like the way they look, but the way they run. Like Jalen's going to try to run you over. I mean, both guys are sitting at home saying, "Stop taking the hit. Stop taking the hit," right? Because both of them were so strong, so aggressive, and both of them, Allen even more because he's got a freaking bazooka. But I mean, Hurts is proving the same things though, just in a different way. That hey, if you want to take my run away, I'm good enough to beat you right here. And Allen's proven it too. I mean, they both have proven that they can do it both ways. And that's where this game is going. You know, when you look at the next coming up guys, right, with a guy like Trevor Lawrence, he's a dual threat, man. You can't just sit back there in today's league. You can't unless you're Tom Brady, Aaron, and even Rodgers came in conversation because he's a guy who extended like nobody's business, right? But Brady-wise, those types of guys anymore, you better be so cerebral, babe.
Yeah,
you better be so cerebral. You better be the quickest son of a bitch at a gunfight. Because if you ain't, night.
Yeah, the closest to the old school guy is probably Herbert, and he still can run a little bit. You know, Herbert's athletic. He can get out if he wants to. You know what I mean? Not great. Not on any of the level of those guys that we mentioned, right? So he's more of the prototypical pocket guy with the big time arm.
He's more Stafford early on in his career, right?
Yeah, but And for a guy that's 6'6", I think he's second in the league getting balls batted down because of his arm slot and stuff. You know what I mean? So
which is weird, right? Which is
very weird. Very weird.
And Allen's got the same type of arm slot.
Yeah.
But Allen's just something. I mean, Herbert's got a cannon, and Allen makes Herbert's arm look weak. I mean, that's how strong that son of a bitch's arm is. Yeah. He makes Mahomes look like he don't have a dart, too. You know what I mean? It's amazing. I mean, that guy, that's the only guy in the country that's going to throw it through the wind in 50-mile ice cold wind in Buffalo and say, hey, we can go score 35 tonight because this guy will just throw it through the fucking wind. I mean, I don't know if I've seen a lot of strong arms in our days of watching football. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. And I don't know where he ranks out at that.
There's not a guy
laser to Diggs was stupid.
There's a lot of guys.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that have tremendous arms.
But he makes up. There's no knock on those guys. He can throw it out of the stadium. You know what I mean? Like he can throw it out of the stadium. That's not even class. He's one of the first guys that actually like lived up to that. You know, like the guys back in the day, that like this guy's arm strength is ridiculous and he stinks. He's like one of the first guys to say, yeah, that's real too. You know, and again, he's not the perfect pocket guy yet. He's just better. He just keeps getting better at it. But what helped him is the same thing that helped Jalen Hurts. Go get him a dude. Because his first, people say, oh, Josh Allen, Jalen doesn't go through his reads enough. Okay, have you watched Josh Allen play?
But listen,
he's looking and just letting it rip.
Just like you alluded to earlier, the only thing that ever worries you about you, the only thing you ever worry about with guys that play like that is, knock on wood, is the injury, right? Because what did we say years ago? We're not going back to 11. We're not revisiting history. I'm just saying, when they wanted to take, because of the knee injury, they wanted to make him a pocket guy, and it wasn't. That's just not who he was. You know what I mean? That's not who he is, and now he's become absolutely horseshit. But prior to the knee injury, like, he's a guy that has to make plays. He's a football player. He's a guy that is the bottle cap. Hey, you're the bottle cap. I'm the rock. Let's do this. You know what I mean? He doesn't need a script. Just let him improvise. And obviously he suffered a devastating injury. So that's just what you worry about with all these guys. You don't want to take away their playmaking ability and who they are and what made them succeed at this level. All right, their whole careers. You know what I mean? You just say, hey, can you get out of bounds? Can you get down a little bit? Maybe can you slide? Yeah. Can you slide once or twice? Can you get out of bounds? And if we need a 4th and 1, then run the guy over. I'm cool with that. You know what I mean?
I don't know if Allen's ever slid.
Give me a situation. I know.
No, yeah.
I don't know if Josh Allen's ever slid. Jalen's done it like a couple times. Jalen's a baseball player. So, Jalen's a guy who should be able to slide with no issues, right? But
Josh Allen, I don't know if that dude's ever. That dude, it's amazing. Like watching him on Thanksgiving was so fun because that dude just wants to run you over. It's like he's one look. Okay, screw it. I'm out. I'm out right up the middle. And what linebacker wants to dabble tonight? And then if you guys want to play, I'll run you over and I'll run your boys behind you over. I mean, listen, that dude. Buffalo got themselves a real one. They obviously have some warts going on there. But they got a big addition. We're not talking about the Buffalo Bills tonight, but they got a big addition back in Tre'Davious White that over time of this year will pay off. He's coming off a major injury, but I feel like in 5-6 weeks, when it's important for them, he's going to be playing at a higher level. That's big. That's big if Buffalo wants to get to where Buffalo wants to get to, and you got to beat the Chiefs. Well, you're going to need a Tre'Davious White to do that.
And Custos, you're looking at a Dolphins fan here, and no bigger Marino fan in the world, but even his arm was nowhere near Allen's. All right, and Marino had an absolute, was tremendous. Was a Hall of Famer. His release, he had the best release of all time, the quickest release of all time. Right, Dan can get it where he wants to. Dan can spin it. Right, but his arm wasn't as strong as Allen's. If you want to talk arm strength just from the past, I'm saying Elway's the guy. Elway might have the strongest arm of all time. I mean, he would leave the cross on you. You know what I mean? So I love this. I love, when guys miss the ball, he leave the cross on you. You know what I mean? That's Elway. So I would love to see Elway and Josh Allen on a radar gun. But love you bringing back up Marino. I mean, love you giving him some love, Custos. But he's Dan.
No, and Danny had a cannon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Danny can get it done. Don't get me wrong. But Danny wins in the West. Anytime if you went to the West and you wanted to have a duel, you bring Dan Marino. You got the guns on the side. You want to count paces, 10 paces. Let's turn and fire. Marino kills you every time. Hit you right in the forehead. You're dead.
His trigger made his arm strength even look better too, right? Because he was such a quick release, and the quick release helps you make you look faster too. Not that he didn't have a great arm. Sometimes where Allen's going to wind up, and still he's still going to throw it through two defenders and nail you right in the chest because that's how strong it is. Like the defensive backs can't even catch up to the guy. That's what you watch when you watch him play. That's the only difference from him and Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has to be a little bit more cerebral. He has to see stuff faster, and he's starting to do that. And that's where I totally believe that, hey, the sky's the limit for this football team. And tonight, one little more example, we'll work our way out of here because we had a great show. But one more great, and we can do some crumbs. But one more great example of what great football teams do is what happened tonight. And we talked about it a little bit earlier on the show. But you lose the NFL leader in interceptions. Gets hurt. And Reed Blankenship, who's a rookie, he's only played special teams, comes in and gets a pick. That's what great football teams do. Yep. And it's not always the next man up, but well-coached, good football teams that draft well are able to do that. Now, he ain't getting as many picks as CJ. You understand? But you're able to pick your team up and pick a guy up you're coming in for. That's another sign. It's a little sign, but they're the things that stick with me when you dissect the season, right? If you do lose a guy, how do the guys that come in, how can they pick up the slack, right? I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not saying the guy's a baller, just saying, hey, good read on the football. Rodgers is late throwing it, but you're in the right spot and you make a big play. When we're all like, oh, my God, I hope CJ ain't out forever. This guy comes in, you're like, okay. And he looked like he wanted to tackle people too, which I'm a fan of. So it looked like he really liked getting his beak wet. And I already know Epps don't mind tackling. So I love beak wet guys. Yeah, get up and get dirty, baby. Let's go.
I hate birds, but yeah, I love getting the beak wet.
Love a little beaker. Love a beaker. Listen, anything else, Eagles, guys? I mean, 10-1, we've done an hour and a half of it. It's good to be able to do a post game with a win. We haven't got to do many post games. Well, we have, but I feel like anytime you do a live reaction to a game, it usually doesn't go the way we want it to. So I'm happy tonight went the way we wanted it to.
Yeah, and just a quick glance. No real update on CJ's injury. It's still just what they reported right as he was leaving the game, the ribs. Obviously, I'm sure we'll hear more tomorrow once he gets looked at and stuff like that. But I just did a quick glance just to make sure we didn't miss anything or any major update, but nothing's there.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, you hope that it's no more than a 4-weeker, right? Because like at this point, like I just need that guy back when we're really getting rolling again here. You know what I mean? Like, you know, get the body right, get fresher. You know, I sometimes think that's good for guys too. Not saying getting hurt is, but getting away from the hits that come every week, right?
Yeah.
And letting the body breathe. Like I think Dallas Goedert's going to come back a more physical player, right? Avonte Maddox might have a little bit more in the tank, right? When you look at guys that miss 4 weeks, right? That, you know, if you can stay healthy now, maybe you're some of the fresher guys down the home stretch. You know,
Yeah,
looking,
sure.
you know, lifting up rocks per se. But you know what I mean? Just talking out loud. You know, maybe that when it's not season enders. Now, hopefully, it isn't. You know, even if it's a broken rib, it's not a season ender. So you're talking about maybe 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah. Flap jacket.
Yep, flap jacket. You're not here to tackle, CJ. Obviously now with all your picks. You know, and not that we do a good job of tackling anyway. And if there are two things. If you really want to be negative about something, say we got to tackle better, right? But I think the whole National Football League needs to tackle better too. So that ain't an excuse for here. That's an excuse all over football. I watch a lot of it. I know you guys do too. Ain't enough good tackling teams in the league anymore.
It's because they don't do it anymore, right? I mean, you don't do it in summer and mini camp and training camp, and you know, I mean, heck, I was watching the Penn State Michigan State game. I mean, just not just real quick. And Mel Tucker, who's head coach of Michigan State, he goes, the only time we're on pads is on Saturdays because I don't have enough guys to practice.
Yeah, I mean, and you know,
and that's got to be the truth around all levels of football, right? I mean, that's a scary truth.
Yeah, and not just that. I'll take that one up. You know, I mean, he if that's irregular tackle, then he's not hurt. You know what I mean? That's reality. You know what I mean? He's been great. I'm not criticizing him for that. I'm just saying that's the way the sport has become. You know what I mean? You're trying to lay the wood.
Yeah, no one wraps anymore.
Yeah, if you just try to tackle there, then the ribs are nowhere near there. You know what I mean? He just went in flying 100 miles an hour, sideways turn, you know, to try to dislodge the football. And obviously he paid the price, you know. So hopefully,
well, I think this goes back even.
That's funny.
I think this goes back to youth football a little bit too, just in terms of teaching tackling, right? So I mean that's a whole conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But my crumb is the Washington Commanders. What you had the audacity to roll out today? Like, if you want to roll that out, roll it out. But don't you calling a statue? It's a mannequin. It's a mannequin. It looks like an alien.
What was the metal stuff? What was the metal stuff? I don't know.
It was like it was like mannequin metal. It's not a statue. That thing looks horrific. And then every little thing in it, like where you want to get right, like what kind of stuff did the guy wear on his wrist? What did he do here? What did he do here? None of that stuff matched.
No.
That's the worst thing ever, dude. Like, is there a franchise in the history of sports?
Can't get out of their own way.
They can't get out of their own way. It's the Washington Commanders / Redskins / everything they've been. They're a joke of an organization. That's a disgrace. I'm not I'm not the 2022 guy, but if I'm Sean Taylor's family, I'm appalled by it. I'm appalled.
Take it down. Don't display that.
Get that out of there. We don't even want that up.
To your point, Tommy, they had a Nike jersey, Reebok pants, Adidas shoes. Like you couldn't even coordinate it to like the uniform they even wore in the back then. You know what I mean?
This guy was tremendous, Greg.
Oh my God,
he was a tremendous player, and he didn't win a championship there or anything like that, but he was tremendous. Yeah, these guys are Hall of Famer. So so at the end of the day. Like we got a statue here. We got a statue here for a trick play that worked. You know what I mean? We got a statue for that. That ended up in a championship. I get it. But that's how you do a statue. You do a statue because they're called statues. If you're going to put up a mannequin, say, hey, we got a mannequin, Sean Taylor. We got a mannequin.
If you didn't want to go full statue, do like a bust. You know what I mean? Like they do in the Hall of Fame. Like, but that was horrendous,
dude. It's like how cheap
and the lack of detail was.
Well, they talk about being broke, right? And that's why he's trying to sell the team. Like, how broke are you, bro? You got to go to eBay.
Who the fuck is in that meeting? Who is in that meeting? That's what I have to know. All right, my daughter says Listen, Dad, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. I say, hey, you're probably right, B. Thanks. I'm glad you were in the meeting. I'm glad you were in the fucking meeting. Because, I mean, holy shit. There was adults that were in that meeting that put a stamp on that and said, hey, let's run a metal mannequin out there. I mean, holy shit. Like, that's it's unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. How
I thought when I first saw it, I gave it like the love because I didn't like realize it at first. I just like looked quick. And then I like circled back later on before we even talked about it earlier, right? And I was like, wait, is that a mannequin? Did they call that a statue? And then I started going to the comments and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here? Like, you guys are so broke that like, well, listen, for a statue, I mean, that check's going to bounce, you know, but you got any mannequins in? What?
Yeah, I mean, maybe
call Walmart? You call Walmart?
Yeah.
You call Ross? Ross, you got any mannequins laying around?
Yeah, Mr. FedEx. I mean, Mr. FedEx, stop sexually harassing everybody in your building, and maybe you can put up a sculpture. Cheese and crackers. I mean, what a fucking piece of shit. I mean, they worry about changing the name. They should have fucking blew the whole organization up. Just fucking.
And the field. You know what I mean? While you're at it, just demolish that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what a joke.
They've probably still got that lawsuit coming from last year.
It should never happen. You know what I mean? It's so ridiculous that you can have such a rundown stadium at this point. It's 2022. Like, you're a billionaire owner. Like, how are you not making money? How much money are you spending? Well, he's a moron. That's Mike Crum. But that's the only negative thing on another great Sunday, another great win. You know, we got our tailgate down at the link next Sunday. Starts at 8 a.m. Hopefully see everybody there. It was supposed to be this weekend, and obviously the rain canceled that today, which was a good call. So, but we're going to be back out there. Hopefully no rain next Sunday. Want everybody to make sure to get out there. You can get tickets if you go to any of our link tree over in our Instagram bio, or if you go to events on Facebook, you can find it. And the wristband link for $35 get you all you can eat and drink. So come join us.
Yeah, Mike Crum is the Ohio State University. Yeah. What an embarrassment! What an embarrassment! I mean,
credit to Harbaugh again too, right?
Absolutely. You know what I mean? When there's a crumb,
because he wants to beat your ass, and I love that he comes in and they can win the way they win in today's game.
When there's a crumb, it's not a disrespect to the team that forced the crumb nation.
No, for sure. This is for Don. We're just confirming the Don.
They're without their best offensive player. All right, he leaves after a couple plays. The kid gutted it out. He tried to go in a rivalry game, in a must-win game, because if Michigan loses, they're definitely not in. All right, Ohio State probably still has a shot. All right, it just depends. I know. I'm just saying. I hate Ohio State. I don't want them in. I'm just saying that as a one-loss USC or one-loss Ohio State, that's for them to decide. I really don't care. I don't like Ohio State one bit, so we'll see. All right, but I'm saying, just the point is, hey, Corum tried. He tried to go. What a class act that young kid is. Shout out to him before we get into the crumb war. Sure. 200 turkeys or whatever it was for families. He spent his NLI money on turkeys for underprivileged families. Kid's a class act. Fantastic young man. That's what sports is all about. That's what raising your kid right is all about. So kudos to Mr. Corum and the young man for doing that. But on the field, at your place, in the shoe, what a disgrace! You fired
first two drives.
You fired your defensive coordinator last year, so it's always somebody else's fault, not your fault, Ryan Day. Here we go again, the old Frank Reich effect. You know what I mean? It's not my fault. All right, let me fire this guy, fire that guy. You brought in a new defensive coordinator, didn't play anybody coming into this game. Maybe Oregon. Okay, Oregon stinks. All right, and then this is your first true matchup. Right, so that's probably why USC might jump them, Greg, because I think their schedule was Cupcake Central. But anyway, you come in, you replace that guy, and that's what you run out there. That's the defense you play in the second half. I mean, oh my God, 75-yard run, an 85-yard run. You made JJ
look like an actual quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. He made JJ look like a Hall of Famer. Credit to him, he made plays, but if you told me you were going to be able to shut down, if you were going to tell me, now they obviously ran the football in the second half, but if Michigan wasn't going to be able to run the football, I would have tell you there was going to be a rout because there was no way that young man was going to be able to throw the football. He shouldn't have been able to throw the football.
Well, guess what? Every big throw was a big play. Right?
As I said, he hadn't shown it coming into that. He didn't throw the deep ball all year, so he made every play. Kudos to him, and like I said, awesome job by Big Blue, but.
Well, when you have an identity running the football too, sometimes in games like that, it makes it easier because because last year they got beat up by them last year too, like out physical, right? And they had a lot of guys back on that defense that got out physical last year. And guess what happened this year? They got out physical again. So that goes to your culture, that goes to your recruiting, that goes to your head coach, that goes to all that shit. And I give Harbs a ton of credit for the way he's for his style of play in 2022, right? Because it ain't for everybody. It ain't running the football ain't for everybody, and especially in college football. And they do it at an elite level. And I think over time, because McCarthy's got a great skill set, it's just can he put it together, right? Yeah. When you watch him throw the football, it's like the dude can throw the football. Why don't you just throw it, bro? You know what I mean? So, part of that, I think Harbs holds his quarterbacks back a little bit too. Because he wants to run the football so much. But part of it is a young quarterback too. But you should never lose that game like that. You should never get embarrassed.
A great 2 seasons for him. In the game he's supposed to win. That's the game. That's the rivalry game.
That's what you're there for.
It's not Michigan State. It's the Ohio State game. All right. So 2 years in a row, he's got it done, and we crucified him before that. All right, because against. Even Michigan State, Ohio State, we knew that. We knew all that. All the numbers. He was like 1-9. He was 1-9 in all those
that
big
game,
games.
and then also losing the bowl games.
Yeah.
Right.
He was 1-9
to your point.
He was 1-9 in those in those big games. So we crucified him for years. So kudos to him, and for getting it done 2 years in a row, and we'll see what happens. In the playoff. When the playoffs roll around, but
and who knows if they're good enough for that, right?
He's had his team ready to play the last 2 years. This was on the road, and his team ready to play on the road, in a hostile environment, and an absolute.
Well, listen, when you have a style, and you're not all flash, right, and you're physical, this sport's built on that. At the end of the day, so if you create that style and really create that culture, and granted, he's had a long time to do it. Right, but credit to the university for allowing that to play out too, for believing in whatever he's going to do here. And guess what? And the other side of it is, they've done a great job recruiting too. So, they've recruited the style of player that they look for. And Ohio State's flashy, but to me, when you're in a physical game, that flash ain't going to play, babe. And guess what? I don't think they had the speed anyway to be even in those top 4 teams. I just don't, Ohio State-wise, like defensively. It doesn't feel like they have the personnel where I think Michigan has a little bit better personnel defensively, even though they lost a ton of guys, right? It's weird, but their young guys can play a little bit. It's going to be interesting. TCU needs to win. There's still a lot that needs to happen. USC needs to win. USC is the biggest sleeper at all, the biggest sleeper. And if they win one of those playoff games and they get to a national title, I'm just going to tell you right now, that will change college football forever. You might as well just open up free agency at this point because there is 19 new players that would have had to sit out a year that are now with Lincoln Riley. And not only that, they're winning. And the big reason they're winning is because Caleb Williams came with them. Me and Sweep talked about this the other day.
He's a Heisman.
That dude was stud last year. So if we talk about being in the same offense 2 years in a row, they don't have their record without Caleb Williams.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing. If Jalen Hurts would have had 2 years under Lincoln, he would have been in a Heisman conversation too.
Thanks, James.
Because Lincoln Riley is that good with quarterbacks. And especially ones, Caleb Williams turned himself into a first-round pick at some point because he is that dual threat. He just is. But guess what? Yeah. They're the most dangerous team out of all the teams.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nobody's waiting. Yeah, nobody's waiting for nobody wants them in. Absolutely, buddy. And I think the biggest complaint, and we talk about it, is TCU. You know what I mean? So it's not that Ohio State, I don't like Ohio State one bit, but if you were talking about deserving, they would deserve to be in the top 4, but it would be USC over TCU. But if TCU doesn't lose, they're not going anywhere. So kudos to them. You know what I mean? So nor should they. You know.
I think the 22-point drubbing takes them out of the running unless you get some craziness that happens, right? You know what I mean? Because you got to think now LSU lost again, Clemson lost again. Those were all teams that as you go into the end of the season that all could stake claim or be in the running for a spot. Well, they're all out, right? Because even if LSU would have won out and then lost to Georgia in the SEC, they still had 3 losses, but because they would have been in the SEC final game, you would almost not count that loss.
Yeah, you can't count the loss if Michigan loses against, God forbid, for Michigan fans they lose the Big Ten championship. You can't then put Ohio State over them after they just, you know what I mean. So then you got to be fair about it. That's why the only team that
hell breaks loose.
I mean, TCU makes all hell break loose. That's
TCU.
The team.
TCU, and then of course again USC too.
Well, who they got? Who they got in the Big Ten? The Pac-12 championship.
Utah.
It's going to be a dogfight.
Tough team. I mean, they should handle them, but they're a tough team.
They should win that football game. But
same thing with TCU. So there's one spot open.
Who's TCU have?
I forget. Let me think.
It's not Baylor, right? They already played Baylor.
No, Texas, baby. Texas.
Is it Texas?
Kansas State. Kansas State.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
3 versus 13. That's a big game.
Yep. That's my point. I mean,
they're 13th in the country.
I don't know if they are.
Wow, are they really though?
yeah, exactly.
All right,
that was a crazy weekend, and again, that start with the Ohio State, like you would have thought after that start the game was over. You know what I mean? You thought you threw away money after the first quarter. You're like, yeah, we're done. No, I do got a quick crumb with a side of a crumb. Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos.
Oh, go ahead, enjoy yourself. Yep.
You were an absolute disaster.
Where's one?
I mean, how do you lose? I mean, you've just been a disaster all year. Yep. And then you go face the fighting Sam Darnold, and you can't even score any points. Like you're just atrocious. Custos, thank you, sir.
Custos, $5 super chat. I tell you guys all the time, you want to help support A2D Radio. Comments are always welcome. That's a big support. Like, subscribe, is always fun too. But if you got some fuzzles you want to always toss, we're open for super chats and we're open for sending stars on Facebook. So wherever you're watching at, feel free.
And to Greg's point, I think it was well documented, at least because somebody mentioned it earlier. I'm sure there was a lot of people clamoring for him. It wasn't in here, you know what I mean? Because of the age, all right? Yes. I'm a big Rusty Nail fan, you know what I mean? Going into, this year has been a disgrace, you know what I mean? But up until this point, I've always defended him. I have buddies that think he's absolute garbage, and, the Legion of Doom carried him, and Marshawn Lynch, and I'm like, okay, get out of here, dude. He can play. Come on, dude. Like he's whatever. But the age was like I wasn't even sniffing at that. When we were talking about when there was like off-season stuff talking about maybe bringing him here, that was a no bueno here. And I thought,
I was pretty clear on. I was pretty clear on.
I thought we all talked about that. I thought we all talked.
There was only one guy that we would have even taken a shot on, and that was before the massagers.
Yeah,
so
that was the only guy.
That's the only guy, and I wasn't even totally sold on him. You know what I mean? Like, because he had D-Hop for a long time. So it's like,
take
how
care,
good are you? Custos, great.
Thanks again, brother.
We appreciate you, Benjamin.
First time watching. Here's to more after future games. Keep up the good work, night fellas. Thank you, brother.
We appreciate you coming in, Benjamin. Great win for the Eagles. Remember, when the show's over, you can go listen to all our Eagles reactions. We did that for the whole show. Right now, we're in our crumb of the week. Before we wrap up tonight's show, but we appreciate you guys still commenting in. But please continue on Russell Wilson because he is atrocious.
He is, and
he's a weirdo.
I was one that didn't want him for age, and I kind of thought he was done, and it's proven right, or it's at least proven right now. Right? Who knows what's really going on behind closed doors? I mean, sadly for the Broncos, they don't have anybody else. I mean, what are you going to play Brett Rippon over them? But they're just atrocious team. You go into Carolina and get beat and get blown out. Just atrocious. And then my side crumb, he's only a side crumb because he hasn't officially accepted yet. But Hugh Freeze going to Auburn. Come on, man. Don't do my Liberty Flames like that.
Yeah, I understand the more money.
But we knew it was coming.
Raider Andrew, absolutely give you a shout out, brother. We appreciate you tuning in.
Thanks, brother.
I think he thought earlier he was saying his son was sick or something. So, thoughts and prayers to his son. God bless him.
Yeah,
right here, brother. For heart surgery, 5 months old. God bless him, man. And thoughts and prayers, brother.
Andrew, we're sending you thoughts and prayers. That a speedy, healthy recovery from a major surgery. And if there's any way anybody can help, please send us over a GoFundMe or anything of those sorts. Where we can, we're all family here in the sports world, right? So we want to help in any way we can, especially for the kids, right? For kids, it's even more touchy. Even touches you even more than adults. But man,
for sure.
Oh, well, big win, Andrew. On a positive note, I hope the surgery went well. But huge win for the Raiders today. I mean, they needed that in a big way for Raider Nation because they can't fire Josh McDaniels.
On the road.
Yeah, they can't fire him yet. And Seattle's a fraud anyway, so we know this. I mean, they're tough, but they're fraudulent. They're not. They might be a playoff team, but they're sneaking their way in.
Yeah, like I said, he got bailed out. He's an absolute moron. Me and Greg talked about it earlier. 4th and inches, the guy runs a sweep. I mean, the guy's an idiot. I mean, it's incredible. It's really incredible. Then he tries a 54-yarder. Even if your kicker has a great leg, I mean, that's not easy. You know what I mean? And when it's 4th and 2, 4th and 10, you want to try a 52-yarder? Absolutely. All right. 4th and 2, you go for it. You know what I mean? But the Seattle's Seattle's inept as well, and they were able to hold. And then Jacobs broke an 86-yarder.
My buddy won a FanDuel because of that 86-yarder. He was in 3rd before that. It was awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Eddie says, any word on Gardner Johnson injury yet? No, nothing out besides just a rib. We know it's a rib. So, Eddie, we would assume that's not season ending, right? I would venture to say he's a pretty tough guy too. It's not a season-ending injury. On our way out, great hire by University of Nebraska. Not that they've gotten anything right.
Add Wisconsin there too.
And Matt Rule. We know some guys are just college guys, right? Some guys are suited for the college game. I think he is. He's shown the ability to grow programs at the college level. So time's yours, and maybe Nebraska gets one right here because they need to get this one right.
Yeah,
Scott Frost did not age well.
Those guys never go hungry, but you're right. It's a great hire, and like Greg said, Wisconsin absolute home run. I mean, both schools did a great job, but Wisconsin, that's a home run. Luke Fickell's a stud. When he did at Cincinnati, it was fantastic. So
yeah, that's a great one.
No, it is. There's
And if they keep Jim Leonard on, dude, Wisconsin's really going to be good because he's a hell of a defensive guy.
Absolutely.
And he did a good job as it was. They were just looking for a sexy hire. It's
what's crazy too?
It's a shame sometimes because he did a good job.
You put Paul Chryst numbers up against Jim Harbaugh's. They're the exact same numbers, except for like Big Ten championships and playoffs.
Yeah, I thought Paul
the wins and losses, like the winning percentage, Big Ten titles, they're almost identical. So it was just funny how certain colleges and coaches come under fire at different times.
Well, Alvarez was a stud, and he was in AD for a long time, and Bill, Brett Bilsman was a stud too. So they had he had to follow Alvarez, and then you got to follow Bilsma. Not that he won anything, but he won enough. He didn't win anything special. So, but I thought Chris did a fine job. Fine enough job. But it was time. It was time. They lost to Illinois, and they had enough. They didn't want to give him. They didn't want to give him anything longer than that. I mean, it was early on when he got the axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Big Ten going in a big time direction, especially with head coaches and programs definitely changing. Don says he's happy Jim Harbaugh didn't take the Vikings job. Yeah, some guys don't need to feel that out again, right? They're making a boatload of money at the college game. There's more control. And Raider Nation, reading that it's your son's 3rd surgery. Continue to stay positive, brother. God is good, and God bless you. And God bless your son and your whole family, because I can't imagine what you're going through. So we're glad that we can give you an outlet, to speak it out loud to people, right? Because that's the hardest thing, just having enough people just to talk to, right, through this. But like we said, anything you need, brother, don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, like some guys dabble with the pro job, and then they realize like I've gotten it. Jim won games at the pro level, so it's not like he didn't experience some winning, Yeah. And in terms of like when you're working at one of those big time schools, if you watch the likes of
a program,
pro
job anyway. Yep.
I mean, Cliff Kingsbury should go back to college. He's another guy. He's a college guy. There's just college guys and
gadget spinners.
Yeah, and they're great. They're great at the college level because they're great recruiters. There's nothing you can recruit at the pro level. Mm-hmm. You ain't recruiting. You ain't Bill Belichick. I'm not saying
you can't go sign 25 first rounders.
No, and once those guys, and a lot of those guys, once they're in the show, they might not want to work anymore. They might not want to listen anymore. I mean, I know, we always talk about when it's contract time, when it's time to get paid, guys will wake up. But other than that, sometimes your message goes on deaf ears. With college guys, it's like, hey man, they're trying to get paid. They're trying to get to the next level. What I mean? So those guys, will respond a little more. Than pro athletes, So
same thing when all the stuff wears off with Urban Meyer. Somebody's going to come calling with a boatload of money from the coach at the college level again, and they'll go there and they'll be sensational at it again. Because it's a different conversation when you talk to pros and you talk to kids. It's different way you can handle it. And Chip Kelly's another example.
Chipper's figuring that out. Yeah,
he's a great college guy. He's a college guy. That's what he is. I'm not saying he's even a great college guy. But he'll always be successful at the college level. He'll always have 9-10 wins when it's all said and done. It's just what he'll end up with.
Don, it's funny you said that because I kind of told these guys the other night, and it's a tough comparison because he's such a stud. But I think Caleb Williams got a little bit of Patty Mahomes in him. All right, that's the way he plays, man. Reminds me a little bit of Patty Mahomes, at Texas Tech. So I mean, I know it's a long road to get there. I'm not trying to sell anybody that's the next Pat Mahomes, but he's got a little Mahomes in him.
All right, and he's got another year too. That's the scary part.
Yeah, the guy's tough, man.
He extends like nobody's business.
Yeah, exactly. The arm talent's not there, and the ability to make a no-look pass, and to hit a squirrel's nutsack from 50 yards away. That's not there yet, but he just reminds me of
he's hit the squirrel.
He's got some Mahomes in him. That's the way I look at it.
No, I see it too a little bit too. So you're not on an island there, and I'm like you. I don't like to, I'm not a big love comparing guys to greats, right? But if you see some skill sets in guys, you're like, oh, okay. All right, this translates. What you do here definitely translates because he'll do it on anybody. Like if he sees Georgia's defense, he'll run around on Georgia's defense too. Not saying they won't get stops, but he's a big time extender, and is always the crazy thing about him is he'll run all down your throat, but he's looking to extend. He's looking to throw. Mm-hmm. And you don't usually see that from a sophomore college, right?
Don, I will have to disagree with that, Don. I think I can speak with these guys too. Like we've had enough of Urban Meyer. Like he's
I love good Urban. I love good Auburn.
He's nauseating to me. He's nauseating. I'm tired of the fucking Urban show.
Oh, I'm tired of it too, but he'll win.
Of course he will.
Yeah, because he's a college
he's gonna break yeah, he is, and he'll break every infraction. We know that. So, but these guys. These guys land on your feet. Yeah, I'm not even talking physical. I'm sure there was others, other infractions. You know what I mean? Like where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I mean? But when you can coach, other guys look the other way. Just watching the game tonight, Sean Miller made his way back to Xavier. Oh, how fittingly. You know what I mean? And I like Sean Miller, but.
That's how it works. Right?
What happened in Arizona? A lot of shit happened in Arizona. Now Xavier's like, hey, we didn't see nothing. we didn't see nothing. We didn't see nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't see shit.
Because it's funny. Once the smoke clears, everybody out there is like, it's good. So like Ted, you don't know how it responds, how you trust him after a Jacksonville job. Real easy. Because it ain't pro sports. And he's already proven he's not trusting, but he's already proven he's going to make you a lot of money at the college level. He'll make your program a lot of money because that's what he does. But he's a fraud at the big level because he's a fraud human being. right? But flawed human beings can be great recruiters. So once the smoke goes away, right, that's a guy that there's going to be a team that pulls out a bunch of briefcases for him. And I don't like the guy, but that's just the facts of the matter. That's just the fact of how it goes. All right.
We'll be here all night.
Yeah.
Love you, boys. Don, always a pleasure, buddy.
We will be here all night too. Don just wants to show you some love, Greg, on the way out.
Yeah, I saw it. I think it's more tongue in cheek because I don't like this. I didn't think the season was very good.
Not happy with a 10-2?
No, I'm not happy with Clifford the Big Red Dog.
We know that, but you're not happy with 10-2?
No, 10-2. Selfishly, 10-2 actually takes them out of coming here to Orlando in the Citrus Bowl and watching the freshmen play in the Citrus Bowl, which we were kind of hoping for. The loss, 10-2, actually puts them probably in line for probably the Cotton or the Orange Bowl, depending on how the rest of this week. The rest of.
You don't think the Big Red Dog's playing?
He's not playing. He's not playing.
I was just going to say, they let the kid play the bowl game. They're
going to let the kid play the bowl
game. I
game.
would let the kid play.
He's not playing.
I would have, as soon as they lost to Michigan, I would have let the kid play the rest of the year.
Who's he getting ready for?
Who?
The dog.
No one.
Yeah.
No, he's not playing in it because he's getting ready for something.
No, he's not. He's just. I think Franklin's finally calling off that you're done. You're not playing, and they're going to see.
When's the kid play last?
He's played portions of games throughout the year,
and now you
but
got
nothing substantial.
Now you got weeks of practice.
Yes,
you turn the offense over to him.
Like 8-year senior.
Wow, I know he's been there for 45 years.
The worst guy to have at the top of your rankings of all-time leader of every.
And I'm a monster, and you know me, I'm a monster loyalty guy. But even me, oh good, McFay. I wish McFay would have broke his jaw there. That would have been awesome. I'm the biggest loyalty guy on the planet, but that's enough to
another hour.
It's time for this kid's time. It's time for this kid to start and play. His era has begun. I mean, I saw it. I saw it early in the season. You know what I mean? Just the way the guy swings it.
Once you lost to Michigan, you knew the season was over because you're in the same division with Michigan and Ohio State.
Yep.
So once you lose to Michigan, your season's over. You should have went to a LAR. You should have given. Yes, they almost beat Ohio State, but I would have rather seen a LAR look at Ohio State's defense. Going into the game as the starter, so that way you go in the next year with seeing their defense already prior to a game.
Probably not the game I would want to start him in, but I hear you.
It wouldn't have been his first start. He would have had to start in between Michigan and Ohio State.
Okay.
So
I got no problem when I'm playing now.
But the other side of it is he was the number one high school recruit this past year. You didn't redshirt him, obviously, but you didn't really play him much. So in today's world, in today's transfer portal, who says he comes back? Like, I think you risked an opportunity to make sure you keep him when you didn't play him all year, or at least half the year.
Well, I don't think you're having a problem losing him. You're a 10-win team. You're going to a Cotton or Orange Bowl. I mean, that's nothing to poo-poo about. You're probably gonna have a good recruiting class the following year. That's what Franklin's always done.
Yeah.
So that's never going to be a problem, I don't think, especially where your circle of recruiting is. And you get to play at a stadium like that, it's never going to be hard to recruit. The question is, can he play? I don't think you have to worry about, if he. The only question is he your guy? I think he's definitely more your guy than Clifford ever was going to be.
He's the only X factor that you're going to get against a Michigan or Ohio State, right?
Well, that's what happens when you get a number one recruit.
Yeah,
that's what happens when you get a number one recruit at that position. Like, that's a game changer. That's somebody that's going to, and he probably didn't want a red shirt either, right? So, that guy probably wants to play. So, part of a red shirt and a guy like that is he probably doesn't want to. But you're right. You could risk it. I think you saved it now when you're going to start the guy in a big time, a big time bowl game, even though it's not a playoff game, but a big time bowl game. So, listen, great show, boys. Now we're talking college football until 2 a.m. We appreciate all you listening, and we appreciate the Eagles getting us to 10-1. Next week, big game versus Tennessee Titans here at Lincoln Financial. for Brian Wilson for 5 seconds. Nick Delgazzo, Greg Moakovic on top. I'm Tom Marnone on the bottom, like Jonathan Gannon.
Don, we feel for you, buddy. I don't know how you do it, man. And 23 seconds left. I went to take a piss. I expected overtime. I come back, they're lining up for a field goal. I mean, it's Detroiting, and we love you, buddy. And I love the Fighting Dan Campbells, but God, Lee.
Yeah, for sure. We're brought to you by Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, 2 locations, Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. He's our doc. Make him yours. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. We love you all. See you soon. Let's go.